Life is full of decisions, big ones and small ones. Choosing a career path, navigating relationships, moving to a new place, or even deciding how to respond to an unexpected challenge. In those moments, our natural instinct is to rely on what we know, what we feel, and what we can reason out. But then Scripture gently redirects us. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Proverbs 3:5-6. This verse is more than a memory verse from Sunday school. It's a daily roadmap for how to live with confidence, peace, and direction. Let's explore what it means to truly trust God with all our hearts and how this promise transforms our lives. The context of Proverbs 3. The book of Proverbs is a collection of wisdom sayings, mostly attributed to Solomon, offering practical guidance for living a life aligned with God. Proverbs 3 emphasizes the value of wisdom, urging readers to keep God's commands close to their hearts. Verses 5-6 are central. They remind us that wisdom begins not with ourselves, but with God. Trust is the foundation of a wise and fruitful life. Without it, we stumble on crooked paths. With it, God Himself directs our steps, breaking down the promise. 1. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Trust is not partial. It's not a backup plan. To trust God with all your heart means to surrender completely. Emotions, decisions, plans, and fears. It's a relationship of reliance. Trust grows when we know the one we're trusting. The more we know His character, His goodness, faithfulness, and love, the more we can release control into His hands. 2. Lean not on your own understanding. This doesn't mean we stop thinking or making wise choices. It means we recognize the limits of our perspective. Our understanding is small, often clouded by emotions or incomplete information. God's understanding, on the other hand, is infinite. He sees the beginning and the end, the seen and the unseen. Leaning on Him means choosing His wisdom over our instincts when the two collide. 3. In all your ways, submit to Him. Submission is about alignment. In every area, work, family, finances, relationships, we invite God in, not just with lip service, but with obedience. We say, Lord, not my will, but yours be done. Submission doesn't shrink life, it expands it. When we align our ways with God's, we step into a life marked by His guidance, His blessing, and His peace. 4. And He will make your paths straight. This is the promise. A straight path doesn't mean an easy or obstacle-free road. It means a path that leads to His purpose without unnecessary detours. It means direction instead of confusion, clarity instead of chaos. God doesn't promise a smooth journey, but He does promise a sure one. Biblical echoes of trust. Throughout Scripture, we see examples of people who lived this verse and sometimes struggled with it. Abraham, Genesis 12. He left everything familiar to follow God into an unknown land. He didn't lean on his own understanding, and God made him the father of nations. Moses, Exodus 14. When faced with the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army, his own understanding would have said, "We're trapped." But trusting God parted the waters. Joshua, Joshua 6. Marching around Jericho 7 times made no sense, yet obedience brought victory. Peter, Matthew 14. He trusted Jesus enough to step out of the boat. When he leaned on fear, he sank. Trust kept him walking. Mary, Luke 1. When told she would bear the Son of God, she replied, "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." Each story shows the same truth. God is trustworthy, even when His ways don't make sense. Why trusting God is hard. Let's be honest. Trusting God with all our hearts doesn't come naturally. We like control. It feels safer to rely on ourselves. We crave certainty. Trust requires faith, and faith often means walking without all the details. We fear disappointment. We wonder, what if God's plan isn't what I want? But here's the reality. God's plans are always better than ours. They may not always match our expectations, but they always lead to life, growth, and blessing. Practical ways to trust God daily. Start your day with surrender. Before the to-do list takes over, pray, "Lord, I trust you with this day. lead me pause before decisions. Big or small, take a moment to ask, God, what would honor you here? Anchor in Scripture. When doubt creeps in, cling to promises like Isaiah 41:10 or Philippians 4:6-7. Look back at God's faithfulness. Keep a journal of answered prayers and moments of provision. Looking back strengthens trust moving forward. Release what you can't control. When anxiety rises, write down what's outside your control and hand it to God in prayer. A personal reflection. There was a season in my life when nothing seemed certain. Plans kept falling apart, and I felt lost. My own understanding told me to scramble, to force outcomes, to hold tighter. But God kept bringing me back to Proverbs 3:5-6. Slowly, I began practicing surrender. Each morning I prayed, Lord, I don't know the path, but I trust you to make it straight. It didn't mean everything instantly made sense, but it did mean peace. And looking back, I see how God gently guided me to places better than I could have imagined on my own. Encouragement for you. If you're standing at a crossroads today, unsure of which way to go, remember this: you don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to lean on your own limited understanding. God sees the road ahead. He knows the destination, and He is trustworthy. When you trust Him with all your heart, you trade confusion for clarity, fear for peace, and wandering for direction. Where in your life are you tempted to lean on your own understanding? Write about a time when trusting God led to a surprising blessing. What does wholehearted trust look like for you right now? Discussion questions. Why do you think it's hard for us to surrender control to God? What are practical ways you can acknowledge God in all your ways? How have you seen God make your path straight in the past? Reflective exercises. Trust inventory. Make a list of areas where you struggle to trust God: finances, relationships, health, etc. Pray over each one, asking Him to help you surrender. Scripture anchor. Choose a verse about God's faithfulness and keep it visible all week. Each time anxiety rises, repeat it aloud. Trust testimony. Share a story of God's guidance with a friend. Speaking it out loud reinforces your own trust and encourages others. Final thoughts. Trusting God with all your heart is not a one-time act, but a daily choice. It's the posture of surrender, the rhythm of obedience, and the pathway to peace. Your understanding may be limited, but God's wisdom is infinite. Your control may be fragile, but His guidance is steady. When you trust Him fully, He promises to make your path straight. Now I'd love to hear from you. What part of Proverbs 3:5-6 speaks to you most today? Where are you learning to trust God more deeply right now? Share your reflections in the comments. Your story might strengthen someone else's faith. And if this devotional encouraged you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss more reflections, prompts, and encouragement like this. Because life may be uncertain, but when you trust Him with all your heart, you can be certain of this: God will guide your path.